At this time,
now we gotta drag it. Listen. We got the beats bumping in the building. All right. What house is he coming from? We got FRESCO. The Red Dragon.
That is only one thing. Today.
Here's the big fly result. Story. Money doesn't matter.
Someone they know.
Knowledge is power. Your loyalty, free of charge.
Someone appears to have paid quite a bit for it since then.
You can't tell a woman, I'm coming for your body.
The idea, if we control the traffic, is leadership.
Sit down and spend some time with my friend, the Red Dragon. FRESCO live.
The one who was
The story of your death. Over till we forget that it's a lie. But what do we have left? That's the lie.
I actually think this is a little town. It's not entertainment. He is an entertainer. That's some good deed. I actually think this is a little town.
everybody. Good afternoon. I just returned from the scene of a horrific accident that led to a high-level anxiety all the way from Western Europe. Western Europe. Everybody. Good afternoon. I just returned from the scene of a horrific accident that led to a high-level anxiety all the way from Western New York to Albany to Washington. But before I describe the details, I want to be very, very clear to Americans and New Yorkers. At this time, there is no indication of a terrorist attack. Let me repeat that. At this time, there is no indication of a terrorist-involved attack here at the Rainbow Bridge in Western New York. At 11:27 this morning, a car going at a very high rate of speed crashed into a median at Niagara Street, just minutes from here. It's in the city of Niagara Falls. near one of the border crossings into Canada, the Rainbow Bridge. There are 4 border crossings here in Western New York. This is one of the busiest crossings, not just in Western New York, along the entire U.S.-Canadian border. And it happens on the busiest travel day of the year. So naturally, in a time of heightened alert, everyone's sprang into action. It crashed into a Customs and Border Patrol booth,
Ooh.
and the car and the booth immediately exploded. Burst into flames. I saw the video of an airborne vehicle that was absolutely surreal.
Let us
You actually
see.
had to look at it and say, was this generated by AI? Because it was so surreal to see
Oh, shit.
how high in the air this vehicle went.
Let me look for this
and then the
video.
crash, and the explosion and the fire. That video will be released very shortly. As I said, we're not aware of any threats to this area, but I state the caveat that the investigation is ongoing. If you can imagine, this vehicle basically incinerated. Nothing is left but the engine. The pieces are scattered over 13, 14 booths. So it is a large scene, and it's going to take a lot of time for our federal law enforcement partners who are with me here today, and I'll identify, to be able to piece together the real story, to identify the make of the car. Obviously, there is not a license plate. I've been briefed by law enforcement for the last hour. New York State Police, Colonel Andy Crow, Colonel Allen, other law enforcement officials. I've been joined by Andy Bowker, who's the special agent in charge of the Customs and Border Patrol. I was also briefed by the SAC from the FBI. Also was on the phone with Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas. The FBI Director, Christopher Gray, has reached out. The White House has reached out. My staff has been in communication with all of them. I spoke with Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, Congressman Higgins, local law enforcement, as well as local elected officials, because the world is watching to find out what happened here. And again, at a
Yes,
time
we
of
are.
such high anxiety, stress levels are already high. We've been on heightened alert since October 7th.
Damn.
That's why it's so important for me to stand here and tell the world, based on what we know at this moment, and again, anything can change, there is no sign of terrorist activity with respect to this crash. We've identified that this is a local individual, a Western New Yorker. 2 individuals died in the vehicle. The Border Patrol individual working in the booth was injured. The booth literally protected that individual.
What?
They went to the hospital with minor injuries and have been released. There is also, again, the busiest travel day of the year. There's the major disruption. And first of all, our cross-border travel. Right now, the Rainbow Bridge will remain closed while law enforcement continues investigation. Again, this is a large, widely scattered scene, and we're trying to identify all the elements to make sure that there is no unforeseen situations that we need to address before we can open again to the public. We're going to make sure the public is safe before they go back on the Rainbow Bridge. Also make sure the structural integrity of the booths. Also very important, our state DOT will be involved in that as well. The Whirlpool Bridge and Lewiston Queenston Bridge opening early this evening, probably open by now. Can anybody confirm that? We're open now. Okay, they're open now. There's been a lot of people trying to get across. I appreciate that. The Peace Bridge, which was open, is already reopened a half an hour ago. For those traveling by train, unfortunately, Amtrak has temporarily suspended its cross-border service between New York State and Canada. And the Buffalo Airport, despite early reports, the Buffalo Airport is never closed and everything is normal. Domestic flights are still active. There has been no cessation in service there. What I want to do at this time is extend my extreme gratitude to all of our partners, Customs and Border Patrol, Homeland Security, FBI, our state police, local sheriffs, Niagara County, Erie County, all stepped up to assist in trying to identify what exactly transpired here beginning at 11:27 a.m. this morning. They gave up their time from their families. They showed up. They reminded us that there are people who put on a uniform every single day. put themselves in harm's way. The people out there on that bridge, in the immediate aftermath of what happened, unknown. The source, the cause of this explosion, were out there doing their jobs.
I wouldn't have went there.
So I want to pause to give them
Damn that.
gratitude to the governor and 20 million New Yorkers who sleep better at night because of their willingness to do this. They run toward danger. They should be with their families today, but they will not be. This investigation will go on for a number of days, and that's why we will not have any further answers at this time as to the individuals involved, the deceased. We need motivation, and there's a lot of unanswered questions. But at this time, we just need to dial down the temperature right now. And that's what I plan to do as governor. Just let everybody know all is well. We're investigating. More information could arise, but based on the preliminary investigation, no sign of terrorist involvement in the horrific explosion that occurred here in Western New York. Any questions?
Governor Hochul, can you explain what you're basing that determination on, that there was no terrorist activity here, and instead calling this a horrific accident?
That's based on my briefings with experienced law enforcement, with the FBI, Homeland Security, and the Customs and Border Protection. They brought experts. They're still analyzing this, but there's been no indication based on any online threats, anyone taking credit for anything, all the usual areas I look to identify whether or not there's a group involved. At this time, you're going to hear me say this at this time a dozen times because it is still unfolding, but I didn't want to leave the public with a lot more anxiety than they need to have at this time.
So I just want to be perfectly clear. There is no evidence to show at this time that this was a terrorist activity.
There is no evidence at this time that this was a terrorist activity. And that's what I want to make very clear to the public, just to calm everybody down. It's really important because based on what's happening in other parts of the world, everybody is on edge. And this is an international border. And we've always felt the vulnerability there. But this was won't call it an accident. It's not been determined to be an accident. You don't know whether the driver was intentional in how they drove. We do not know that. All I know is there was a horrific accident, I won't call it an accident, horrific incident, a crash, an explosion, loss of life, but at this time, no known terrorist connection.
Agents canvassing the neighborhood, specifically near the casino and on Niagara Street. Is there a reason why this couple may have left the casino and on their way to Toronto?
I can't confirm where the car originated at this time, but there is suspicion that the vehicle may have originated in that vicinity.
I'm sorry, can you just clarify of Niagara Falls or where that car may have originated?
Within the city.
Of Niagara Falls?
Not saying it's a local resident. I'm saying that it's a Western New York resident who was most likely in that vicinity prior to the high rate of speed, extraordinarily high rate of speed that led to the crash into the median that sent the vehicle airborne. And when you see this video, your jaw will drop in disbelief at how this went so high over an 8-foot high fence. It's rather extraordinary.
Time for one more? Can you just walk us through the idea, the decision to close all border crossings in Western New York? What went into that, and can you walk us through the sheer magnitude of that kind of a decision?
I'm going to turn it over to the representative from the Customs and Border Patrol, especially.
I think she said there's a video coming. I can't wait to see that shit. Earlier, she said there will be a video. This is live, by the way. I am stealing this. Shout out to Sky News. Fair use.
Like this, you want to take an abundance of precaution to protect not only staff and personnel, but also the public. So,
Is this as loud as it goes?
decision like that, and then to go back based on totality of circumstances, working with law enforcement partners to reopen, we are reopened.
Can you walk us through the man who was first agent? Was it a customs agent or was it a border protection?
It was a Customs and Border Protection officer, out of an abundance of precaution, based on some minor injuries. Went to the hospital, just treated and released.
And what did the conversation that person did?
I'm not going to get into any other further details at this time.
A veteran of the force, or how long?
I'm just going to leave it at that it was an employee. I'm sorry? It's an ongoing investigation, so we're not going to say anything else at this time.
Well,
From our employees, it was one employee.
I think that's something, I mean, it's something we should be grateful for. When you look at the scale of the scene, of how far the pieces of this vehicle exploded and scattered, the fact that other people in other vehicles, and there's been some damage to other vehicles, I mean, you can imagine the lines were long. Many boosts. This is not an isolated late night occurrence. This is the busiest travel day of the year at 11:27 in the morning.
Wow.
People are on the road, so it was a very congested area, and thank God there was no one else injured. It could have been much more cataclysmic, and so, but thank you all for coming out. I appreciate your attention and helping us let the public know to dial back the anxiety associated with this event. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Mr. Malcolm, really quickly, the booth steward.
Damn, they spun off on this question. Wow. So this is a press conference about a bomb. Well, let me be careful how I word this. Be careful.
Israel,
Let me be careful how I word this. All right, because you can say the wrong thing and be out of here. There is a lot that could be going on here. Nobody knows anything yet. I got so many questions, it's ridiculous. If there are lines and lines of cars waiting at the toll booth, how did this car break through at a high rate of speed and crash into a booth? If there were long lines, was it easy pass? Did he come from the other direction? And usually there's a median and you can't do that. We're going to find out later, I'm pretty sure, though. Let me look around on YouTube real quick, see if there's anything else up about this. I don't think this was terrorism, personally. I think this might be some meth heads or I don't know. There's some irony in this, though. Like she said, this is on the busiest travel day of the year. In the middle of the afternoon. And it's at a border crossing, too. There's so much shit going on. People are going to start talking about Hamas and Title 42 and all this other shit. I can't wait for the other YouTubers to put up videos about. But this might be nothing. This might go away in the next hour. We turn out it's just some bullshit. But that's the latest, Niagara. That is not why I fired up this live stream, though. But I'm going to show you in a second. So, there's a guy out there, was out there. His name is JAQUES FRESCO. He's dead now. He was an inventor back in the day. Real smart guy, nerd, scientist type of dude. But he had a plan for the world called the Venus Project. I'm not going to go into it. I'm going to let him explain some of this. In my opinion, this is the smartest man I've ever heard talk in my entire life. He has some interesting concepts about automating the world and have machines run the whole world. Not the AI bullshit that you're hearing about today and iRobot and all that kind of shit. That's not what JAQUES FRESCO was talking about. I'm going to show you what he was talking about. We're going to look at some of his ideas and concepts about what's going on in the world and and listen to this man and how his mind works. Is really interesting. So I'm going to fire up a video. Let me see.
Are you sick of having issues with your webinar?
No, I'm sick of these
Wasting
commercials on
tons of
YouTube.
time
I will
on
never pay for that
troubleshooting
shit.
With attendees?
I don't even know if I should be saying that. All right, this is JAQUES FRESCO, folks.
I see it somewhere. Unless there's other questions that you don't understand. This is the application of relativity. When all things are relative, you can't know exactly the way things work. You can only know what you can receive. There's a gadget that scientists use to see if there's an electromagnetic field here. It's a time. They also have a gadget they lower from an airplane, like a big disc with an electric current going around the circle. There's a lot of iron under the land that flows up the electric current. So instead of going around geologically looking for iron, The airplane drops this down and it flies over the earth and it tells you where the iron is. Do you understand? By a current moving around in the coil. And it's called a magnetometer. That's how they know. In the old days, they used to dig down, find metal, say, this is a good place. Nowadays, with a prism, a certain type of prism, arranged a certain way, if you aim it at a star, dig down.
All right, we're going to stop it right here and rewind a little bit. It does make sense that you would want to use magnetism to find out where metal is in the earth. That makes common sense, but watch what he says.
Find metal, say, this is a good place. Nowadays, with a prism, a certain type of prism, arranged a certain way, if you aim it at a star, it tells you there's no oxygen on that star, no nitrogen, no water. The prism, the color bands tell you what there is on that planet. It was discovered accidentally. When the Germans made airplanes that were lighter and stronger, they didn't know what it was made of, so they heat the metal so it's bright, white hot, and run it through a prism. They get a color band, and the color band says 2% magnesium, 1% carbon, cobalt, you know what I mean?
I'm going to stop it right here. He said they use prisms to determine what gases are on stars and things like that, millions of miles away. If any of that shit is true anyway. But he said that it was discovered by accident, and I struggle with that. I think maybe, okay, someone rediscovered it by accident. I think mankind figured this out a long, long time ago. I'm not going to get all spooky and dashiki-ish and start talking about pyramids and shit, but something was going on in that area thousands of years ago, and there was some brilliant people there that were studying the stars and many other things. They might have had machines like we did. Who knows? Keep listening.
Called spectral analysis.
Spectral
We
analysis.
can turn a spectrum on anything today. And if we heat it, so it's white hot, we can tell what it contains. That's how they know there's no air on the moon before they ever went there. But normally, how do they know there's no air on the moon? They've never been there. There are other ways, but they don't know about spectroscopes. You know, spectral analysis. A lot of people don't know about those things, so how the hell do they know? My opinion is just as good as theirs. They don't look into it and say, how do they know? They speculate, you know what I mean? And so that's why we have so much trouble with people, because they do not have a common way of seeking information. So, well, if you ask me, I think my opinion is just as good as yours. Good. People feel they want to feel equal to you. They say, that's your opinion. Now I'm going to give you mine. So they think one opinion is good.
Sound like a YouTube panel, huh? Listen to the way he describes this. It sounds just like the average YouTube panel. This is hilarious.
Because they do not have a common way of seeking information. So, well, if you ask me, I think my opinion is just as good as yours. Good. People feel they want to feel equal to you. They say, that's your opinion. Now I'm going to give you mine. So they think one opinion is as good as another. And that's valid amongst people that don't know how to check things out. They should say, I wonder how they know there's no water on the moon. But wondering that, they don't go to their computer and say, how do people know that? I don't know if your computer will handle that, but your computer will tell you every phase of metals with a memory. You know, if you put in metals with a memory, or you put in materials with a memory, you'll get more than metals with a memory. If you put in what is memory, you know what I mean? Well, that's another question altogether. We don't ask those questions because we're not brought up to ask such questions. We're brought up, if you get money, you can buy anything, a Rolls Royce or a big house with 40 rooms. So most aims are for money, not scientific instruments. If you wonder why do people only think of making money? Because they can buy any car, any house, pay off people, you know what I mean? Money is a symbol, and it can get you anything you want. But if you study chemistry, You might learn about chemicals, but you can't afford to live in a nice house. That's why people are money-oriented.
That's deep.
Not because they're bad or greedy. Because money gives them what they want, and without it, they can't have what they want. Is that real clear? It's rewarding people. Now, if helping people is rewarding you instead of money, that's different. But you'll be abused. You'll have
Facts.
to drive a car that breaks.
Did you hear what he said?
You'll have to drive a car that breaks down. Because big people is rewarding.
Listen to what he says.
They can't have what they want. Is that real clear? It's rewarding people. Now, if helping people is rewarding you instead of money, that's different. But you'll be abused. You'll have to drive a car that breaks down because you don't have the money to buy a car that doesn't break down. A brand new Mercedes will last longer than the average car, but you can't afford that. And if you use magnetic braking, it will last longer, but you can't afford it. But people with money said, what's the best braking system? I'll take two. You know what I mean? And how do I make my house fireproof? You do this, you do that, thing, and then they can afford it. Without money, you're pissed off by people. You sleep in the street, you're broke, everybody says a guy has a bum. I met what they call bums that were so well read that they didn't want any part of the system. They lived in poverty. I think I told you about the guy in Haiti with a shirt made of nothing but patches. I couldn't tell which is the real shirt. And he was well informed in semantics, but he was the shirt he wore looked like a guy put a hand grenade in it and blew it up. There were holes all over it and torn, and he still buttoned it up because that's all he had. But he loved to read, and he was very well informed, but in what he read, but he was pissed on by everybody. And I talked to him for hours. He was bright as...
All right, I don't want to get into Jock Fresco's storytelling, but you had a little peek into his mind, how he feels about money. And he goes in on government and society also. Well, this is the video I want you to see. That was a little intro to Jock Fresco. This is from 2011.
According to a new
And I'm wrong.
There's a little known trick to
Talk about struggle streaming. Let me see what the fuck is going on here.
Even $10,000 a day that doesn't require you to put any of your own money, buy, sell, or even rent.
This is the video I want to watch.
Okay. There has been a lot of controversy about the Venus Project's concept.
The Venus Project he's about to talk about is something he came up with. He wanted to use technology to automate the world so that no one would have to work. His concept was not so that machines would run our minds and we would be bots, literally living bots and zombies like we are now. Dummies, 200 dickheads on a subway platform, all on looking down at their devices. That was not Jock Fresco's intentions. His intentions were to automate the world so that we could spend our days thinking and advancing more technology. That way everyone in the world will have all day long to think and design things, and who knows what we would accomplish if we didn't have to work and carry our kids to daycare every day. That was his goal. That was his mission. It wasn't for AI to take over the world and make us all jackasses. So try to listen and understand what his goal was.
A machine government.
A machine government.
I want to try to answer some of those questions if I can. First of all, most people can remember things like the early days of the Vikings. There were men rowing boats. They were beaten sometimes, and sometimes they were not. Sometimes they used slaves to row boats. With the advent of machinery, it moves the boat much faster than people and doesn't hurt people. So it was not a machine takeover, The boats are operated by steam engines because they do a better job than people. People apparently cannot row a boat as fast, move a boat as fast as a steam engine. In the Volga River in Russia, people used to pull boats. They whipped the slaves and they pulled boats along the river. On both sides of the river, they had ropes and they used to pull them. With the advent of the steam engine again, it freed the slaves. It wasn't that men freed slaves. Machinery frees the slaves.
I don't want nobody going crazy and talking about slavery ended because of steam engines. That's not what he's saying. He's saying in the Viking Age, when they had people rowing, actually using oars on ships, they used slaves, not Africans. Slaves from their area. That's what he's talking about. Because I know this could ignite the woke crowd and have them... Let me finish.
I can assure you, if all machines stopped in this country, we would use prisoners to work the roads, like they do in the South. We would use people if the machines stopped. So people think there's too many machines in the world today. What they don't seem to understand is what machines do, they really don't know. And they project their own values into the Venus Project concept without asking us, do the machines make decisions? Does man participate? That's what they want to know. Man will participate until the machine surpasses his performance.
See, so they were asking him way back then, like, in other words, will the machines have intelligence and be able to make decisions? That's not what he's talking about.
Do the machines make decisions? Does man participate? That's what they want to know. Man will participate until the machine surpasses his performance. And when the machine surpasses his performance, they will use machines. They always ask me, can a machine be more adequate than the designer? I know a team that work together on automobiles, and they can't run as fast as a car. Machines seem to always surpass the performance of the designer. A designer that designs machines with perfume and bottles filled with 100 spigots at once. Those bottles move by faster than any designer can move those bottles and fill them with perfume, milk, or soft drinks. And when they say, well, what will humans do? Humans today use machine guns, but they do waste a lot of bullets, even in war. I'm not upholding this, I'm just discussing it. And today they have a laser beam on the gun. And if the laser beam is on you and you pull the trigger, bullets come out. If it's off you, any day you pull the trigger, no bullets come out.
Wow.
Therefore, the Army installed that it isn't a machine takeover. It's just that machines save a lot of bullets, if you're interested in that. I'm not interested in that. I'm just telling you what machines do. Those of you that can go back in time by reading about the past, you'll find that people that operated elevators were unstable. The elevator was not able to stop exactly on the floor. It took a skilled elevator.
I remember that.
Turning a crank to get to the floor.
I remember that.
With the advent of sensitive technology, today you press 20 and the elevator stops on the 20th floor. It doesn't have to go up and down. When you say there's too many machines, I don't know what people are talking about. I really don't. I think that when they say, well, would there be a machine government? How can machine government feel for people? How can they feel empathy or warmth or love toward human beings? And at least human beings in government are people with feelings.
That's the problem.
If you put machines in, machines might decide to take over. This is what they fear. Missiles are guided by people. Missiles are guided by people. Bombs are dropped over cities by people. Over cities by although the machinery that holds the bomb is released by a person. People with machine guns kill people. Bombardiers and airplanes use instruments. Now there's an altimeter in the airplane that gives you your altitude. Just how you are, but humans aren't that active. When they look out of an airplane, they can't tell you exactly how high they are. They can only give you an approximation. I'm about 2 miles off the ground, or an altimeter with radar, and bounce on the ground and bounce back and give you your height. Not only that, from 3,000 miles out in space, we can photograph areas of the Amazon jungle and see plant diseases all over the world. In one day, in 24 hours, computers and infrared cameras can show us the condition of all jungles and forests. It would take man a couple of years to go ahead and survey.
That's true.
To go through the forest and say there's 4,000 acres of contaminated plants, or a satellite can do that. Did the satellite take the job away from people? No. It's been assigned that. In the very early days, men used to trade bushels of wheat for corn and other things. But the estimated weight of the guy that's selling the corn seemed to be a little heavier than what was in the bag. Human beings tend to take advantage of other human beings.
Yes.
That's why they sign contracts, because they really don't trust each other. If I say this is guaranteed for 5 years, you say sign on the dotted line. That means you don't take my word for it. People used to take a person's word for it, but people vary too much. And it seems that they tend to work in ways that serve their own individual interests. That's why you have a scale in the supermarket. You have a scale at the butcher shop. You put the chicken on it, it weighs 6 pounds, that's what you pay for. But in the early days, before the scale, the guy used to estimate the chicken weight, the butcher. And he always estimated a little on the high side. And the customer always felt he should be on the low side. So anyway, they got into arguments about the weight of the chicken until the scale. The scale displaced the no. It made things more equitable. So people in the army used to fight each other. If a man was big, you pick a man up and throw him against the wall. Today, however, the gun became an equalizer. You have a gun, the big guy has a gun. You both have an equal chance, a better chance. I'm not advocating war or advocating guns. I'm just talking about the machine age, so you understand me. People row boats for sports, but they don't go on trips with a yacht with men rowing anymore. Hundreds of men on the yacht rowing. They don't do that anymore. Because the diesel engine does the job faster, better, and more predictability. Now, when you go on an ocean liner today, who makes the decisions? I would say that the cook, if he knows you're going to have 800 people on the boat, he knows how much water, because he gets it from past experience. For showers and how much food and how much salad. He doesn't just arbitrarily order 50 pounds of beef. He has to know there are going to be 5,000 people traveling around the world for 2 months. Then he bases his orders on that. That's exactly how the Venus Project works. There's nobody sitting around saying, I think we'll turn out 4,000 automobiles today. They turn out what's necessary. Is that clear? This way, if you just turn out refrigerators, you put them in a warehouse. You hope that next year enough people will buy them. But if they don't, they stay in the warehouse. That's machines not serving people. We build houses, and we hope people will buy the houses. If they don't have the money, the houses sit there empty, and people sleep in the loft, or they'll make a tin hut. that's depriving people of things. So when I use the word machines in government, I meant areas that people can't handle. For example, the information that comes down in one day from a satellite would take 400 years to decipher.
Wow.
And today, a satellite can pick up information about the Earth, fish migration.
I never looked at it that
things that
way.
man would have to be all over for, and it wouldn't be as accurate as a satellite. So when I say in the future, machines will manage government, not people. The production of food, the production of transportation units, the production of building materials, all of those things will be done by machine. Only because it's
When he says machine government, he's talking about machines governing our lives and how goods get to us and how we use them and how efficiently we use them. He's not talking about Roe versus Wade or all that bullshit. All of that will go away. All dumb shit goes away. If they would have followed through with the Venus Project, we'd be in a perfect world right now. 20 years old, probably.
faster and more accurate than man. If you don't understand us today with binoculars, you can see a greater distance. And you can see animals and people that are far away. It brings them closer. I would say binoculars are extensional devices to the visual field. I would say the telescope is an extensional device that extends human perception of distant objects. Now the person says, yes, but why don't people do that? Because they can't do it as accurate as binoculars. Even if you wanted to see more detail far away, you can't adjust. Your eyes don't work at a 2-mile distance for deciphering information. So Army issues binoculars to people. The Navy issues binoculars to people because they're extensional to people. A crutch is extensional to people that have difficulty walking. But beyond the crutch, there are electronic legs that can move, running an electronic cycle. And that enables people who couldn't walk, they're able to walk. Now, of course, they can use a person and hold the guy up when he's walking, but it's not as effective as machines. So people that picture a bunch of machines running the government and running people's lives don't know what they're talking about, and they don't understand how the Venus Project uses machines. When I say machines in government, they will assist man until they can surpass man's performance. And it has nothing to do with me. Industry will use whatever machines they can to speed up production, if the cost is less than paying workers. And we know that every year the machines are getting faster, cheaper because they're turning out more, and electronics is much more sophisticated. They have a little unit today in electronics that has over 100 books, which you ordinarily have to carry around. You can read in that machine, page by page. You can even turn the pages without actually picking up a book and turning the page. It hurts to hold a book. And if you put it on the table, you need lighting. The unit that they make today can house, some of them can house hundreds of books. And you don't, I mean, you can say, well, there are too many machines in the world, but we'll take your computer away, your refrigerator, and we'll take your washing machine, and you...
Here's the downside about machines and, devices that hold data that FRESCO didn't talk about. Once all the CDs and DVDs are gone from the earth, if the system crashes and the devices crash, all those movies and songs that we grew up will be gone forever. Unless, the rare people that have record collections and that stuff will be worth that stuff would be priceless. But 99% of, all of the entertainment ever created will vanish. Because most of the VCR tapes and all of that stuff is gone from the world right now. So nobody ever considered that when they were considering world. But this guy right here wants all that bullshit to go away anyway. He wants us to all be thinking and, focusing on traveling the stars and all that. But I'm pretty sure the flat earthers would have had something to say to this guy. There was no flat earthers around when this guy was around. Remember, this is 2011 and he's already old as hell here. He was talking shit back in the 80s when I was a kid. And I'm old. I remember him. He was on Larry King.
The rivers struck closing. So I don't think people understand the Venus Project. There are a lot of people that feel very negative about the Venus Project. Unfortunately, they project their own values, or they use deliberate deceptive means, saying a world run by machines without feeling. Machines don't need feeling, as long as they turn out cool drinks, as long as they turn out bottled water, as long as they turn out baked loaves of bread by the thousands. The machines are all right. They save people from standing near that hot oven, putting in a unit to withdraw the bread. Only machine technology is not used always for the benefit of people. Today it's for the benefit of corporations.
Right.
Let me back it up now. They blow air bubbles into bread so they're larger. You get a larger loaf for $1.20. Bread used to be 10 cents a loaf, and it was dense. It was real bread. Today it's over $1, and they're made to look larger. It would be illegal, but it says on the bread so many ounces. That's how they get away with it. But nobody reads that. So I'm saying today they use synthetic methods of increasing the profit. Now even a gas station used to have a guy, and he says, "You want your tank filled?" And he'd fill it, and then you tell him when it was filled. You've got a meter in your car that shows full. But today, when you put the hose against the car and you press 5 gallons, you can get 5 gallons. Of course I can tamper with that, but I'm not dealing with that. Machines, if you go to any modern hospital and they're doing surgery, the machines check your body temperature, your pulse rate, your heartbeat, and the doctors go by those machines. They don't have the time in operating to check all those things and stop the operation.
Right.
If you took the machine technology out of hospitals, the death rate would be much higher. I don't know what people are talking about. You fly in an airplane at 6 miles above the earth. They pressurize the cabin so that the air pressure in the cabin, outside the cabin is a vacuum. You couldn't breathe out there. So they have air pressure in the cabin. That's all done by machine. The amount of pressure, the amount of oxygen in the air, all that's automatic. And so is most operating procedures are based upon techniques that worked. But in the future, there will be more machines in hospitals. Now, if there's a power failure, say...
This guy even thinks that the machines will be doing the surgery themselves. If he would have lived longer, he was really, really old here, and this is 2011. This was we took a huge blow. Mankind took a huge blow when this dude died. And a lot of people think that they got him out of here some type of way. Like they comparing this guy to Nikola Tesla, and some people think that Tesla was a hit and his technology was taken and used for evil and for financial gain and other shit. But this guy, 30-something years ago, when I was a kid, 40 years ago, was talking about automating the world when nobody else was. He was on all the major news networks, and people were calling him a quack. But look what we have today. Today, the world is almost, well, on its way to being what he wanted it to be, but automated, but it's going to be all evil and profit-based. He wanted to get rid of all of that. So I don't want anybody thinking that this dude is like some Illuminati cat that wanted to I don't know, messed the world up. He wanted to fix everything. They should have made him president.
Due to a storm or hurricane, where the nation loses its electricity. In hospitals today, the generator goes on automatically. So the minute there's a power failure, a surgery can't stop in a hospital. There's no light. So when you say there's too many machines in the world today, I don't know what you're talking about. If machines replace jobs, that's the misuse of machines. If they make machine intelligence with weapons, that's the abuse and misuse of technology. The Venus Project only wants to use technology to enhance the lives of all people rather than a selected few. And if somebody is against the Venus Project, please give us statistical evidence as to what the matter is with machine government. You say machines can't handle everything, you know. People say that. Neither can man. Man can't handle everything. A very good person in an airplane can't take over the plane and fly it if the pilot dies of a heart attack. There's very few people in the airplane. Can you fly it, get in there, fly it? No. So you've got to be ruthlessly honest when you write about the Venus Project. And if you're religious, if you belong to the religious right, you say the Venus Project has no soul. It also says in the Bible, judge not, lest you be judged. Or he who is without sin, let him cast the first stone. So don't cast any stones at the Venus Project till you learn about it. And then you check it out with us if you're not sure of the meaning. But if you just write a bunch of articles saying the Venus Project believes more in machines than they do people, that's slanted and dishonest. That's thou shalt not bear false witness. When you read your Bible, if you understand it, just say, I don't know how the Venus Project makes decisions amongst alternative possibilities. If you present the Venus Project with 5 different possibilities, who decides which is used? That's the question you ask. How do you make those decisions? You don't say, my God, somebody has to decide it. And I don't like that. I like participatory democracy. The truth about participatory democracy is that it's never used. I don't remember any time that the government approached me for my opinion about the Vietnam War. No one approached me in government about the space program, saying we got to get out into space. FRESCO, what do you think of that? No one ever approached me on the design of bridges, houses, anything. Somebody in government makes those decisions. And somebody in government influences people. Like this, the concrete companies would like the government to use more concrete. The lumber companies would like the government to use more lumber. So they have lobbies in Washington to try to get members of the Congress to appropriate money for wooden houses. Most prefabricated houses are made of wood. But is that the best thing? Or is the best thing for the lumber companies, but not for the public?
Yo, he exposed so many industries and so much government BS. I mean, it would have made sense that they got him out of here, but I seriously doubt it because he was already old as hell when he died. But this guy was a threat to the government, Big Pharma, and everybody. JAQUES is his name.
Make a house out of wood, you have outgassing from plywood, you have respiratory disorders, you cut down the forest. If you make your house with an aluminum roof, it's less apt to rust. And aluminum reflects 75% of the heat, although normal people think aluminum has to get hot as hell. That's their own projection. The actual physical conditions of aluminum are available on your website. You can get that information. So you don't have to take FRESCO's word for anything, or you don't have to believe in anything the Venus Project says. But you can check out, why does the Venus Project want a machine government? Because man can't handle that information.
That's one thing where they fucked up creating computers and all that and giving people access to computers in their home and putting so much information on the World Wide Web. They didn't intend on people getting smarter than them and figuring out their BS. There's no way they could have intended that. But I don't know. Maybe they considered it. But this guy breaks down how you can become a genius in a matter of days because of the access that you have access to large amounts of information at the tip of your finger. You can learn things like he explained earlier that would have took, a group of humans hundreds of years to figure out. We're here today living off of this guy's concepts. Everything we have in front of us.
Information. In the technical age, there's so many new technical developments, and congressmen don't know anything about it, and technicians would take a long time to tell you what's available. But with computers today, you can find out what the greatest heat-resisting metal is today, what the strongest metal is today, its weight, availability, cost, everything. Man would have to go through a lot of files to get that information, or a computer can have it right away. All you do is type in the question. So if you say, well, I'd rather do that myself, I don't know what you're talking about. Even stores today have computerized tabulation of cost, because it takes too long for people to figure out the cost of a pack of beans, a can of broccoli, the box of... If they had to figure it all out with a pencil, your line would be much longer at the supermarket. And the more machines they put in, the shorter the line, and the less people employed. That's the technology, what it does. And eventually, there'll be so much technology, according to the book, with Ends of Work, by Jeremy Rifkin. Get that book. It gives you statistical data of how machines are putting people out of work, and the automobile companies, to all production companies, are using more and more machines. Now, do you want them to hire people? If they hired people, they couldn't maintain the competitive edge.
Right.
Japan will outproduce us. Japan uses automation more intelligently than we do. Japan
Talk about
has
it.
methods, other methods they're using, and they don't share it with other companies. Toyota builds cars its way. But when Toyota builds cars in America, it's cheaper than shipping the cars to America. They buy steel and then manufacture it on site where it's used. So I would say that eventually the money system will be surpassed. How? By automating most factories. And in that way, when you get rid of most people and most jobs, they won't have the purchasing power to buy houses, cars, vacuum cleaners, refrigerators, anything. And that's the end of the monetary system. FRESCO doesn't advocate a Venus Project to throw out the monetary system. It's on the way out. It's part of social evolution. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Social evolution. If you don't understand me, if airplanes can travel today, passenger airlines, 600 miles an hour, I can tell you, if we're going to be around the next 15 to 20 years, they'll be faster than the speed of sound. They'll move over 1,000 miles an hour, and then eventually 2,000 miles an hour. I don't know this, but it seems most probable by the study of invention and history.
Remember, this is 2011.
Automobiles will become longer lasting, better materials. The question then comes up, is it possible to design things that don't wear out? Yes, it's possible. If things are suspended in the magnetic field by rare earth magnets, you don't need any lubrication, ball bearings, or anything of the kind. That's one avenue of things that don't wear out. I think that
I don't expect people to understand the physics he just described in this little short minute and a half he had to describe it. Magnetism is important in making machines run efficient. They got trains in Japan, been running on magnets since I was a kid. We're still on tracks in America. I'm 53. I remember seeing, there was a thing, before the internet, there were books called encyclopedias, and that's where you went to learn everything. I remember reading in encyclopedias in the 80s about maglev trains in Japan going over 200 miles an hour. 40 fucking years ago.
That the future will try to develop things that don't wear out to conserve resources. But today, when things wear out, somebody makes a buck. You have to buy a new one.
Yep.
It wore out. Automobiles wear out.
Cell phones
Wear out. What the public really wants, they don't notice. They want things that don't wear out.
Right.
But they don't know that they don't even think that way. Is it possible to make things that don't wear out? Well, a turtle shell seems to, it's better to change the hemline, and those in the spring, people are buying different kinds of clothes. The system wastes resources, lots. We also want self-repairing fabrics.
Although, if we did live by his concepts, the world will be what we consider dull. Because, there would be a lot of commonalities. A lot of things would be the same everywhere you go. But we would spend more time thinking and evolving as humans than, comparing who's wearing what. This guy was on to something, man. He should have been running things on this earth. I really believe that.
When it tears, we want to stitch itself. Well, that's ridiculous. How can you make self-repairing fabrics? Look it up on your computer. Self-repairing material. You'll find out it's being done slowly. Eventually, the service industry will disappear. If you don't understand what I'm saying, and eventually you get in an elevator and you won't have to press 20 or 30. You'd say 20th floor. I want to stop at the electric fan department in this department store. You verbalize it, and the elevator will take you there. You won't have to press any buttons. Everybody pictures pressing buttons.
He knew what was coming, man.
A button pressing is today's technology. Will machines someday care about people, or will they not care?
Here we go.
You are human beings today, and you care. Machines really don't care. They have no compassion, no concepts of love or warmth. Man has. And it's man that renders people unemployed by buying machines. It's man that outsources things to China. It's man that drops bombs on cities. It's man.
So let me stop right here. It's ironic that this is 11 years ago and this man is saying this. Because here we sit today in 2023. And everybody's talking about AI. Machines that can think for you. And have feelings and predictions and all this type of shit. That's what they're working on. That's not what he was talking about. I think they stole this guy's ideas the same way some people are saying that they did Tesla and using it for financial gain and evil and planned obsolescence, which I think he talks about.
And that pollutes the oceans. Machines don't. They may deliver the goods and dump it in the ocean, but it's operated by man.
Yep.
So man doesn't have a very good record. Apparently, in the name of God, men killed other men because they believed in different concepts of God. And are religious people sincere? Absolutely sincere. But there are many different religions, and they're all sincere. It isn't sincerity.
I disagree there.
We need knowledge, understanding of the earth, how it works, how we relate to nature and to one another. So, if you're honest, please write us and say, would the machines take over it and make us more like machines? How do you envision machines? And why do you decide on making a machine government? What are the advantages? And what are the disadvantages? But don't write an article on your own concepts when you don't know how the Venus Project arrives at those decisions. FRESCO doesn't make decisions, no one does in the Venus Project. We arrive at them. That means we test different materials, and that which resists heat mostly we use for rocket re-entry or high-speed vehicles, so the heat doesn't burn the skin off. So we have to make high heat-resisting metals for rockets. We have to have metals that are lightweight and strong for aircraft. Who decides that? The state of the art.
I wish this man could be alive to see the explosion of carbon fiber and how it changed the world. He missed out. See, man. Each generation got to take pride in what it is, man. If you 10 years old right now, you're going to see things that I can't dream about.
In other words, if aluminum is the best material, most available for airplanes, they will use it. If a new material comes out, it's abundant but not super expensive, we will use it. And that's the way decisions are made. Industry doesn't just use any kind of metal on car. They use different metals for different purpose. The valves on an automobile are made of a different kind of metal than the skin in the automobile. Different alloys. Who decides that? They may use or may not. Some industries want things to wear out, so you'll have to buy replacement parts. If industry try to do away with wear and tear, they do away with themselves. Do you understand that? That's why you have planned obsolescence.
There you go.
Because the industries want to survive. Are they bad? No. They're part of the history of civilization.
They are bad.
They all go through different stages. Until ancient Rome, there used to be people that made armor plate. Today, the factories that make them, you can't find except in Hollywood, where they make them for historical movies. But there's no armor plate, man. And there used to be horse and wagons. The wagon manufacturer gave way to the automobile and the truck. But if you like the good old days, like the Amish people, you can get a horse and buggy. But you can't travel on a state highway, but you'd hold up traffic. You can only travel on country roads. If you don't understand me, look into the Venus Project. And don't make up your own ideas as to how evil the Venus Project is.
It's not.
Thinking of machine government. You're scaring a lot of people like yourself that don't know anything. And you're taking advantage of people by saying the Venus Project thinks more of machines than they do of people. They only do for dangerous jobs. I don't want people hanging out of windows of skyscrapers, cleaning the windows. I want a machine that goes around, cleans the windows,
Good point.
goes down, takes the next floor. I don't want people hanging out of buildings. I don't want people working in deep mines. I don't want them doing that. It's dangerous jobs. So all dangerous jobs and radiation exposure or exposure to any kind of pain is not necessary today. We can design machines to do the dirty and dangerous jobs. That's what the Venus Project is about. So if you're honest, please write us. Don't say, well, he thinks more machines than he does people. Why don't you check it out? And remember the Bible quotation. Judge not, lest you be judged. So if you wish to be fair, look into the Venus Project. Ask us questions, but don't slam the book closed, because your own knowledge is limited. We don't use machines for profit. We use machines to enhance human life only. The profit motive is gone.
Let's build
Today,
a track using contact 7 and
property, power over others, and wealth. They will not seek that in the future. The better educated people are, the richer the lives and more secure. When I use the term educated, I'm not talking about making money. I'm talking about restoring the forest, restoring the reefs and the ocean, cleaning out the polluted rivers and all the areas that we damage. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about how to make a buck. That was good 100 years ago because we had nothing else. I'm just saying if we want a world without war, hunger, poverty, we have to work on those problems, and they can't be handled by people, I'd rather, because they're so complicated.
Yeah.
And machines can handle thousands of things at once. Man can't do that. So, we say, what if the machine fails? Then if you use one machine in a factory and it fails, you have trouble. So we'll have 3 machines geared to producing cool drinks or safe drinks. So if one machine fails, the next one takes over. Like what they call, if you know what it is, a turret head lathe. It has all the bits. The drill bit turns and it drills, then the other bit moves in and cleans out, and have a rotary head, so you don't need to change the bits anymore. Now that's bound to happen. If you drill a hole and then ream it out, or you ream it out first, and instead of putting all those things on the machine and tighten the chuck, the things are already there and they rotate the position. And that'll happen in the future, the very near future, when a doctor says, not to a nurse, to a machine, hemostat. That hemostat will turn, and the doctor takes it. The nurse has a tray full of surgical instruments. He says clamps, and she grabs a clamp to give. In the future, the word clamp turns the clamp up. Machines will be doing that. Will the nurse lose their job? Maybe they'll be doing something else for a while, until the nurse can be phased out. Oh, you can't phase out a nurse. The proper way to say that is I can't see how nurses can be phased out. Don't say you can't conceive of how men can get to the moon. We'll never colonize Mars. It's too...
I'm going to assume right now that this guy doesn't believe in the moon landing. He's mentioned that twice already, and I'm not sure, but I don't think he believes in the moon landing.
Far away. Just say, I don't know enough about it to give you an opinion one way or the other. That would be honest. But when you say, man, you've worked on it for years and found out that he can't do it. If you have, give us your evidence. But it seems to me, eventually, if we don't kill each other in nuclear war, we will be able to travel through space and conquer most diseases and conquer most people's stupidity. That is the greatest physical disorder. There's a lack of information. And the fact that the nation says everyone should have a right to their own opinion, which is very damaging.
I want to hear that again. He called people stupid.
Machine. He
just called people stupid without calling them stupid. I understand where he's coming from, man. Like, most people, the way society is set up, doesn't have the opportunity or the time to become divine thinkers. Because you're in the hustle and bustle 10, 12 hours a day with work and whatever else you got going on. Because the way things are set up. I don't think he really means that people are stupid.
Stop. That hemostat will turn, and the doctor takes it. Nurse has a tray full of surgical instruments. He says clamps, and she grabs the clamps to give her. In the future, the word clamp turns the clamp up. Machines will be doing that. Will the nurse lose their job? Maybe they'll be doing something else for a while, until the nurse can be phased out. Oh, you can't phase out a nurse. The proper way to say that is I can't see how nurses can be phased out. Don't say you can't, or man will never get to the moon. Just say, I can't conceive of how man can get to the moon. We'll never colonize Mars. It's too far away. Just say, I don't know enough about it to give you an opinion one way or the other. That would be honest. But when you say man will never get to Mars, as though you've worked on it for years and found out that he can't do it. If you have, give us your evidence. But it seems to me, eventually, if we don't kill each other in nuclear war, we will be able to travel through space and conquer most diseases and conquer most people's stupidity. And that is the greatest physical disorder. There's a lack of information that people have. And the fact that the nation says everyone should have a right to their own opinion, which is very damaging. When you do that, there are people that say, well, in my opinion, man will never fly. Well, if you give everybody a right to their own opinion, you might stagnate society from moving forward. The best way to handle things that seem far out is I can't conceive of how that can be done. There's always been wars, there'll always be wars. We shall always have the poor amongst us. I can't conceive of that. I can conceive of a world of abundance, where you don't have poor anymore. You don't have street people. You don't have human suffering. You don't have people losing their jobs. And to me, that is spiritual. But a verbal hobby going to church, telling God how great he is, which is what they do in the Arab world, how great thou art. How wonderful the Lord is. The Lord is good.
Better chill.
Buttering the bread, you know. My grandfather used to say, when bread falls on the floor with butter on, if the butter is on the upper side, he says you put the butter on the wrong side. But anyway, people try to understand things with the tools they have. Most of the tools for thinking are rendered obsolete by machines, unfortunately. There are books that turn pages automatically for people that lost their arms. You can say turn, and the page will turn. Now, in the early days, a handicapped person was severely handicapped. Today, they don't do this, but you can say to the hospital bed, 45 degrees, it'll move up. So you're 45 degrees. Both lights on. Window shades down, and they go down. You don't need to call a nurse, but the window shades down. That's because the machine industry has an infinite capacity to learn to do things. How great will our capacity be? How well educated are our people? If they study physics, optics, automation, computer technology, their range becomes greater. If they live in Weehawken County and never leave Weehawken County, they be Weehawkenites, and they'll remain unless they travel, go to school, and the same with the critics of the Venus play. They really come off angry. It's because they really don't honestly look into the Venus play. So, sure, if you've got constructive criticism, we want it. The Venus Project wants all the criticism you can think of. But please, before you criticize, please look into it. Don't just come off with your own opinion. Any more than you want anyone else to judge you.
All right, I'm going to stop this here. What I want to do is I want to look up the Venus Project. See if he has a video just talking about that alone. Because I remember hearing about this years and years ago. Automating the world and the Venus Project. It involved floating cities, flying cars, all kinds of stuff. And he said he had the technology then to achieve it all over the world. If the governments would have listened to him. But they all rejected him. Like I said before. Called him a quack. I want to see if I can find a video that just breaks the Venus Project down. Let me see. Let's try, let me see. This is 48 minutes. I don't know if I have 48 minutes to deal with Jacques Fresco. This is definitely a video I'm going to review right here. Free will. Oh, I got so much to say about that. We're going to check out some of this. I like that image of that floating city. So we're going to hear what they say.
Business has been going great. We've grown so much, so fast.
Let's do it. I think Roxanne Meadows is his wife. She appears in a lot of his videos.
The entire money-structured and materialistic-oriented society.
Pause. So this is 1974. I told you this guy's been around a long time. I'm 4 years old when this video came out. He's already old and got bags under his eyes. So you can imagine how old he was in 2011, probably 90 something. So I'm not buying that, he was an Illuminati hit or any of that, because I don't think they would have let him live that long if they wanted his head. But they were looking at him.
Society is a false society. Our society will go down in history as the lowest development in man. We have the brains, the know-how, the technology, and the feasibility to build an entirely new civilization.
1974, he was saying that. All right, so let's think about 1974. We're talking, okay, color TV's been around for a few years. We're talking 8-track tapes, right? 8-track tapes. What was some sophisticated technology we had then? None. The Stretch Spider-Man? And this guy's talking about automating the world way back then? This guy should have been running things. Shame how stupid we are. Paradise or oblivion?
It was living through the 1929 Great Depression that helped shape my social conscience. During this time, I realized the earth was still the same place. Manufacturing plants were still intact, and resources were still there. But people didn't have the money to buy the products. I felt the rules of the game we play by were obsolete and insufficient. Misery, suffering, and war provided the incentive for my life's work. I was also motivated by the seeming incompetence of governments, the academic world, and the lack of solutions offered by scientists. I realized instead of working with individuals, a more effective method would be to redesign the culture. This began a lifelong quest to finding solutions to the many problems that we have today.
Look at his office. You can tell this dude just thinks all the time.
This presentation is a feasible plan for social change that works toward a peaceful and sustainable global civilization where human beings, technology, and nature coexist.
Please, I gotta keep reminding you when you see these images and all this stuff that they wanted to design. This is 1974.
This presentation is a feasible plan for social change that works toward a peaceful and sustainable global civilization where human beings, technology, and nature coexist. It outlines an alternative to strive for, where human rights are not only paper proclamations, but a way of life. It is called the Venus Project. Its founder, JAQUES FRESCO, calls for a straightforward redesign of the culture in which war, poverty, hunger, debt, and unnecessary human suffering are viewed not only as avoidable, but totally unacceptable.
Wonder if he designed that. Wait a minute. Damn YouTube commercials. I wonder if he designed that house and that bridge. This is 1974.
It is becoming increasingly obvious that anything less will simply result in a continuation of the same problems we face today.
Hey. Merely complaining without posing an alternative amounts to nothing.
The Venus Project's Research Center, constructed by Fresco and Roxanne Meadows, is located in Venus, Florida. It addresses many of the root causes of our difficulties. But what are the real origins of our problems?
Uh-oh.
At present, we are...
I hope they don't start talking about global warming. You had me, Jacques.
At present, we are left with very few alternatives, since we're on a collision course of our own making. Answers from yesterday are no longer relevant. Considering the damage already done to the environment, we are rapidly approaching a point of no return, where nature will dictate the course.
Where the fuck is that?
Either we continue as we have, with outmoded social customs and habits of thought, thereby threatening our future, or we apply a more appropriate set of values, relevant to a sustainable society, with more opportunity and freedoms.
Americans have been conditioned in their kind of society to get a different kind of car next year, to buy a new television set or a tape recorder. We are radical as hell, but our political and social institutions have not changed. And this is where we are stagnating, because we always equate any new idea with communism or regimentation, because we've been brought up to fear that which is new.
None of the world's economic systems, socialism, communism, fascism, or the free enterprise system have eliminated the problems of elitism, nationalism, racism, and most of all, scarcity.
Facts.
These are all based primarily on economic disparity. When money is used to...
This is our world, man. That God you pray to allowed all this shit for thousands of years and never gave us one good day on the earth. Not one. And this man wanted to try to achieve it. Crazy.
Regulate and distribute resources for profit, and people and nations are out for themselves.
Right.
They will seek advantage at any cost. They do this by maintaining a competitive edge, or through military intervention.
Sheesh.
War represents the supreme failure of nations to resolve their differences. From a strictly pragmatic standpoint, it is the most inefficient waste of lives and resources ever conceived.
Most wars are for the control of resources and maintaining your position of differential advantage. They're not based on the dignity of man, they're not based on elevating human beings. It might elevate the human beings in the country that's the victor. It might do that.
Right.
But as far as the rest of the world goes, the price is enormous.
This crude and violent attempt to resolve international differences takes on even more ominous overtones with the advent of computerized nuclear delivery systems and deadly biological and chemical weapons.
Deadly biological weapons 4 years ago.
Yet it is a windfall money-making opportunity for those who profit by the military-industrial complex. If the profit were taken out of wars, do you really believe we would have them?
If they draft you into the army to serve this country, if you put up your life in this country, they should draft all the war industries. Every cannon maker, machine gun maker, automobile, jeeps, warships.
Good fucking point. Did you hear what he said?
And the same automobile. If they draft you into the army
Look, if
to
they
serve
draft
this
us,
country,
they should draft those motherfuckers.
Do you really believe we would have them?
if they draft you into the army to serve this country, you put up your life in this country, they should draft all the war industries. Every cannon maker, machine gun maker, automobiles, jeeps, warships, all drafted. So on the same basis of pay as the army. And it's real. But if you make millions selling warships, machine guns to the army, then it's corrupt. I would, if I had my way, if we had millions of men in the army, I'd send them to school to become problem solvers. How to get along with other nations. That's what we have to do, not kill. And soldiers are just killing machines. They're trained to kill. I would train them to be able to go to Mexico and bridge the difference. And go to the Arab world, see if they can bridge the difference. So bring them all together, all the nations.
Sound like Donald Trump to me.
War is not the only form of violence imposed upon people. There is also hunger, poverty, homelessness, and unemployment.
Yeah.
The acceptance of these conditions as expressive of human nature is a myth used to keep things as they are.
When you write, your tone influences how readers respond. With Grammarly, just highlight your text and type how you
I'm getting angry watching this video.
Genetics has nothing to do with greed, business, race prejudice. All of the operant systems in any society are part of your education, the books you read, the role models you follow, and the people you admire. The genes have nothing to do except with the color of your eyes, the shape of your nose, perhaps inherited features. The genes do not control values.
This guy is deep.
And even if you're born with a much better brain than another person, meaning better receptors, the quality of the tissue is better, I would say that if you have a better brain and you live in a fascist country, you become a fascist faster. The brain has no mechanism of discrimination. The brain can't tell you what is relevant or less relevant, except experience.
We are not born with greed, envy, hatred, or bigotry. Our behavior and values are reflective of the culture we are exposed to.
If you were raised by the headhunters of the Amazon, you'd be a headhunter. And when I said to you, doesn't it bother you to have 5 shrunken heads? You say, yes, my brother has 20. So, is he nuts? No, that's normal to his culture.
Social and environmental problems will remain insurmountable as long as few nations control most of the Earth's resources, and the bottom line is profit over the well-being people. Putting profit first results in unnecessary suffering and aberrant behavior prevalent today. Many people feel that we need the rule of law to eliminate our problems. We have many laws, thousands upon thousands of them, but they are constantly being broken. Paper proclamations and treaties do not alter the facts of scarcity, deprivation, and insecurity.
You can predict the shape of the future and the values if you know the trends of events, the ocean pollution, the scarcity of arable land. If you watch that degrading system grow, I can predict the riots and killing and assassination. In other words, human behavior is really generated by the surrounding environment. If there's a scarcity, say, of water, it is priced, and its price is high. Let's discuss scarcity as a system. Suppose it rained gold for about 3 days. Gold dust. People would go out and shovel it in, fill the cellars, the attic, every worn out, they throw out their clothing. If the rain kept up for a year, so the gold was all over the place, people would sweep it out of the house, take their rings off, throw them away, and so human behavior and go change to that condition. There's only a police in front of something that people have needs.
His analogies are crazy.
Have access to. So you put a guard there. But if lemon trees or orange trees and apple trees grew all over the place, you couldn't sell it. If you landed on an island that was so abundant with resources, you had 10 people. There were 1,000 fish for every person if you wanted it. There were 10 times the amount of bread, fruit, and bananas. Money would not come into existence. Private property would not come into existence. If the island was big enough, there were 10 people, there were 8,000 acres. No one would give a damn about staking out this particular area. There are patterns of behavior that promote survival. There are social conditions that change our values and outlook. No one can write a constitution of required behavior without consulting the environment. So we better take care of the environment, we better take care of one another, and we better educate people to the highest possible levels of our ability in order to have a society.
By the way, I think this guy is leaning towards the, global warming, environmentalists, those kind of people. I'm not 100% against them. I argued with my mom about this. I think global warming might be a hoax. I'm on the fence with it. I don't have the know-how to get the definitive facts on whether it is or not. You can't believe the news. You can't believe scientists anymore. They're all liars. Nobody knows. But it sounds like this guy was on the, environmentalist tip. But if you look at those pictures, those are real pictures. That there are trash islands on the earth. It's real. So something's going on. But I don't know.
Peace treaty cannot prevent another war if the underlying causes are not dealt with. Maybe what is needed are ethical people in government who will work towards everyone's well-being. But even if the most ethical people were elected to high positions and we ran out of resources, there would still be lying, cheating, stealing, and corruption. It's not ethical people that are needed, but rather a way of intelligently managing the Earth's resources for everyone's well-being.
Did you know that you can get $50,000 or $150,000 of investment capital at 0%?
Let's examine our social arrangements further. To maintain our economy, products must continuously be sold.
Exactly.
To assure this, they are deliberately designed to wear out and break down.
Planned obsolescence.
Maybe you've noticed this usually happens right after the warranty expires. This corrupt practice is referred to as planned obsolescence, which is the conscious withdrawal of efficiency.
You know what? I'm stopping this video right here. You've had your introduction to Jacques Fresco, and as you can see, it's about 35 more minutes of this video left. And it gets deeper. This guy goes into a lot of things. I'm going to do another video where I can cover this for like 4 hours. I ain't got time to do it right now because I wanted to talk about some other shit. Now, that was Jacques Fresco, a man who had a plan to change the world and make it a better place, damn near perfect. I mean, I don't like using the word perfect. He didn't either. But lined up to compared to what we dealing with now, that shit would have been perfect. You don't believe me? Let's look at a video of Kensington. How about that? Let's get into this because I can do shit random. Right? Kensington. I was on a panel last night telling some young boys about this neighborhood. Right? So anybody who watches this is going to get blessed with this. Here you see a bunch of videos about Kensington. 21 minutes, 46 minutes, 8 minutes, 13 minutes. I could click on any one of these and show you some crazy shit. Here's a live stream from Kensington. So let's spy in on this. This is the worst neighborhood in the world. It's in North Philly. I've been telling people all over panels, all over YouTube about this neighborhood. Nobody knows about it. National news doesn't cover it. There's nothing like this anywhere in the world. So let's take a look. Let's see. Look at that shit. This is Kensington, North Philly. What the fuck? This is the shit I see every day. Woo! Fair use, goddammit. All you see is zombies in this entire neighborhood. Square miles of zombies in every direction. There's no other place in the world where there's this much heroin addicts concentrated, just living like White Walkers. Everyone you see is an addict, except for those cops. Maybe. They could easily be. So this is the world we live in. The cops know what's going on around here. Their job is to just stand there and watch it. Nobody's ever going to come do anything about it. It's been like this for decades. A dead area of the world. No business could survive here. Very few. 90% of them are closed. Whoever's doing this is probably using some type of spy cam attached to their clothing. I don't think they're carrying their phone. I don't know. But this is a live look at Kensington. I'm going to show you a video in a minute. Look at this shit. That's a subway station, just so you know. Where people have to get on this train with their children and stuff. But I think in that neighborhood they find other ways to get around. But you're going to see very few regular humans. All you're going to see is zombies through this whole entire neighborhood. Nobody in the world knows about this. People in the next state over don't know about this. Kensington, North Philadelphia. Worst neighborhood on earth. Anybody want to challenge me on it? Show me what you got. Want to show me a tent city? Fuck you. This goes for miles. Trash everywhere. In the whole entire community. Some of that trash is a year old. Some of this trash is a year old. Not that pile right there.
Yeah.
All zombies. No regular humans. None. None. Why isn't national news talking about this? All they talk about is Chicago and Philly and New York and niggas. This is hell right here. A neighborhood where most of the businesses are dead, yet billions of dollars are being circulated in these streets. Thousands of addicts. Half of them ain't even from Philadelphia. They came here to be homeless because the heroin is strong. Have you lost count yet? I have. By the way, we've walked a couple blocks too. We haven't seen a regular human being yet. And you're still seeing trash everywhere. Nowhere else in the world. Nowhere else in the world. Zombies. One regular person. This is insane. No regular human beings. All White Walkers. This is not Gotham. This is a dead area. They are fiends. They are fiends. Fiend. That bike belongs to a fiend. Those are fiends. These are fiends. Every day, 24 hours a day, decades. Leaning. Leaning. How much fucking money did it take to get all these motherfuckers leaning today? Huh? He's smoking something. Morphines. No regular human beings. None. Only stores open shit to sell pipes and shit. Corner stores. Incredible. I don't want to hear nothing about your neighborhood. Nothing. Morphines. One supposed to be in a hospital. He's still out there getting high. No regular humans. Those were fiends. Wow, an open store. Unbelievable. People probably steal shit out of there all day long. You're looking at a dead part of the world. A part of the world that is literally dead. Feces everywhere. This man has already walked a half a mile. We've only seen one normal human being. Nothing. Look at this shit. Those people are not alive. Their lives do not count. There's no coming back from that. I don't care who get mad at that. Brother, please don't go down these side streets. I know you can't hear me, brother, but please don't go down these side streets. Thank you. Stay on the strip. And just so you know, he's on the main strip, under the main subway. One of the oldest subway systems in the world. Oh, he's going down the side street. Oh, I know where he is. I know exactly where he is. Yeah, see? That whole strip he walked is underneath a subway. I wonder if there ever been anything like this in the world. I really wonder. Harlem back in the day? This is fucking crazy. Let's come back to this live stream. This is a live stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to an old video in Kensington. Like in the daytime. It's from 2023.
Want work to go smoothly? You just need to know the right steps. With
Folks, you're looking at Kensington, North Philadelphia. Just pay attention. This is the daytime. It's a different story in the daytime. Look at that shit. Yeah. Yeah. Show me another place like this on Earth. People have to go to this subway station to get to and from work. And this is what they see every day of their lives. No breaks in the action. None. Leaning everywhere. Leaning everywhere. Crazy, man. I live here. I live in this city and it still amazes me. Look at all those abandoned houses. Abandoned businesses. Colony set up. This is one giant heroin needle. No normal human beings. All at it. and maybe a few dealers here and there coming through. This is nuts. Look at this shit. Rainbow shut down in the middle of the daytime. Dead businesses, dead. Pawn shop, dead. Somebody copping up. Look at this shit. Man, yo, you can smell these motherfuckers when you walk past them too. Human beings at their lowest. Look at this shit. Woo! Man! What the fuck, man? Sheesh. I'm gonna watch a few more minutes of this, get into another story, and then get the hell out of here. I've been on dozens of panels showing people with Kensington, and nobody even knows. Nobody knows the real hell that it is. Sad. If you notice, the only stores you see open around here are convenience stores and dollar stores. All the other major businesses are gone. You might see a check cashing place or places to eat. Everything else is gone. Millions in heroin sales around here every single day. And that city is never going to do anything about it. I don't know how they profit from this or who this benefits, but it has to benefit someone if it's being allowed to continue. And it's not an issue in national news. God damn, America. For real? Alright, I want to get into something else. Pause this here. There's a new thing going on. Fox News covered it. It's called Crash and Grab. This ain't Smash and Grab. This is Crash and Grab. Not making this up.
It's finally time.
Niggas are using cars now.
Is live
this
now.
Is next level.
Save up to 85% off our top 10 new deals where they're going. Get everything.
It's a good time to be alive with all this chaos.
Smash and grab robberies. But what about crash and grab? The new trend, also called ram reading, sees criminals deliberately driving into
start this from the beginning.
All right, you've probably heard of smash and grab robberies.
Look at this shit.
What about crash and grab? The new trend, also called ram reading, sees criminals deliberately driving into storefronts to get inside and then loot the businesses. Let's bring in Fox News contributor and civil rights attorney Leo Terrell. I mean, thought we hit bottom already. How bad is this going to get?
We haven't bottled it out at all yet, Sandra. Thanks for asking me. Listen, here's the problem. They're expanding their crime activity. They're expanding shoplifting. They just don't want to walk into the store. They're using vehicles to destroy stores in order to steal. This is the problem when basically law enforcement has been told to stand down. And they're making businesses absorb crime. Now, businesses have to incorporate crime as an operating expense because they're not getting help from law enforcement. That stat that was shown, it's occurring in big-time cities like LA and New York. Why? Progressive DAs, progressive mayors who will not enforce crime against criminals. This is what's happening.
Like out in Seattle. This is a local bike shop owner in Kent, Washington. This is just outside Seattle, reacting to these crash and grab robberies that are all too common there too.
It's just pure frustration. You know, how do you continue to run a successful business when you're dealing with, stuff like this all the time.
We're
Wow.
constantly checking the parking lot cameras just to see if there's activity in the area, and we're losing sleep over it.
Okay, so then to prevent this from happening again and again, the local bike owner then puts the dumpster near the back door. Leo, can you believe this? I mean, our viewers can see this with their own eyes. He decided to put the dumpster to prevent them from smashing through. They've already smashed through. But then the same criminals come back and they use their truck to try and move the dumpster.
The same criminals?
Seen there. So that they can still get through and into the Washington store so that they can steal.
Crash and grab.
You can't even make this up.
Sandra, because they don't fear the police, they don't fear the district attorney, and they're fighting only against the business owner. The business owner is defenseless. He doesn't have the resources, the money, or the time. Basically, he's going to have to close up, but they have no concern about law enforcement.
That is crazy.
Hold on. Let me stop this right here, cause man, these people are fucking their cars up. I don't understand this crime. They have to be stolen cars. They have to be. It doesn't make sense. First of all, if you can afford a car, because I can't. If you can afford a fucking car, why are you robbing places? Are you robbing places to keep up the car payments? I don't know. And you're fucking the car up to do it? Taillights cost a lot of money. And so do bumpers, trailer hit. Well, I don't get it. I'm trying to understand dickheads, but I can't. I thought I was smart. I'm not.
Okay. So then there's rapper Cardi B. She does not like what's happening in New York City.
Did she say Cardi B? I haven't watched this all the way yet. Wait a minute. Did she say Cardi B?
She does not like what's happening in New York City. She's from the Bronx. She sees that now Eric Adams, the mayor here, slashing budgets for police, libraries, and schools, and it led her to say this in a new interview.
How is there $100 million budget in New York City for schools, libraries, police safety, and sanitation? Yeah, Joe Biden's talking about like, yeah, we can fund 2 wars. You can barely even read at the local library. They're gonna close that. There's a police safety budget cut, and on top of that, there's a sanitation budget cut. So that's gonna be drowning rats.
He endorsed President Biden, meanwhile.
Yo, wait a minute. I didn't know that shit was on there. So Fox News used Cardi B as their example today. Ain't this the same bitch that was on, what the fuck is that show? Come on, y'all know what I'm talking about, man. Angela, hold up. The show that has Donkey of the Day. The show that I hate and I can't think of right now. What the fuck is the name of it? When Joe Biden was running for president, didn't Cardi B go on there and act like an asshole campaigning for Joe Biden, and now she's coming at him? Come on, man. No.
Back in the last election, she said she will not do so again. But that is an interesting moment because it's so personal to her. Because she said, quote, I don't want this to affect my stuff. She used a different word. But this has gotten really close to home for her, and now she's reacting.
Very much so. I saw the entire video, and she's afraid for her life, her safety, for telling the truth.
Cut it out.
Basically, she's going after Joe Biden, the person who she endorsed.
But wait a minute. Cardi B's afraid for her life for telling the truth? Wait a minute, man. You never cared about none of this before. You've been talking shit for years. Whoa! All that fuck Donald Trump and all that dumb shit you were saying? What the fuck is the name of that show? What is the name of that goddamn show? The Breakfast Club. That's where she made a goddamn fool of herself when Biden was running. This chick is up.
She said on that video, I'm not going to endorse her. I'm not going to endorse Joe Biden. And she's being very honest. How in the world can we fund wars overseas and we're going to cut services for Americans in New York City and throughout this country. It makes no sense. And you don't have to be a Democrat or Republican. All you have to be is an American. And she is sitting there saying, this is wrong for Americans to be deprived education, sanitation, and law enforcement. And this is the problem. You're dealing with Eric Adams, who places a higher priority on migrants than the American taxpayer. It makes no sense. It's illogical. And she said in that video, I'm not going to support Joe Biden, which is very good news for all Americans.
Very interesting. And that is now going viral. For speaking out against the mayor here and the president of the United States as well.
Viral,
Thank
huh?
you for joining us. Appreciate it.
That's what that's about, Miss Cardi B. That's the last story. It's time for me to get the fuck out of here. I had enough fun. All right, so a bombing in New York. I shared with you Jacques Fresco. My opinion, the smartest man that's lived in the last 100 years. He should have been president, should have been running the world. I'm going to do another video about the Venus Project. So the few people that watch me will see what this world could have been had they listened to this man, and what we could have achieved by today if they would have listened to him. What was that? 40 fucking years ago. I'm going to do another video about Jacques Fresco and the Venus Project. That was crash and grab and silly ass Cardi B. Now, how I want to get out of here. Let me see. Let's get out of here with the intro music. The intro music is the outro music. I'm new to this shit. Here I am doing live streams, and for years, about 10 years, I talked shit about YouTubers and how this shit was making everybody stupid. Does that make me a hypocrite? You goddamn right.
Hey, dragging it. Listen, we got the beats bumping in the building. We've got Reese Ruffin. Hey, dragging. Reese for the win today. Listen. Back. Back.
JAQUES.
Back. Back. Back.
His name is the one who was promised. And there is only one thing we take with it.
Here's the biggest lie ever told. A story. Money doesn't matter.
Back.
Shout out to that angry man.
Back.
JAQUES.
Back.
You need people to trust.
Back.
Someone they know. Knowledge is power.
Your loyalty.
Free of charge.
Back.
You kill a woman, I'm coming for your body.
The idea. Hey. If we control the
JAQUES.
Back.
Sit down and spend some time with my friend Red Dragon. Reese Ruffin live.
The one who was promised. The story of me and Daniel. Over. Did we forget that it was a lie? And what do we have left? What's we left? The lie.
I actually think this is a little town for you. I am the dragon. It's entertaining. He is entertaining. That's some good deed. I am the dragon. I actually think this is a little town.
I'd like to begin with a fact. Whether in a small town like McAllen in the Rio Grande, or in Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles,